It's just crazy. I can't believe this is happening. I just can't believe they're letting me do this. Hi there. This is it. The original, the originator, the car that launched over 1 million 911s. It's called the 901. And we'll get to why it's called that in a minute, but look at it. Way back in the beginning, everything was already there. That classic shape, the big headlights, a rear-mounted pancake Boxer 6 motor, tiny little back seat. Everything was there, and it's still there today. Look, this is the 911 they launched in 2019, the 992. Things have changed, that's for sure. Water-cooled, 450 horsepower, 2 turbochargers, all-wheel drive. And the crazy part is Porsche made a 911 that did all that 33 years ago. They just called it the 959, and here it is, Porsche's first supercar. To me, the crazy part though, is that in just over 20 years, they went from this to this. So much evolution, so much technology. How did they do that? Let's find out. Driving a Porsche 901. That's where it all began, man. It's crazy. I mean, they've made over and sold over 1 million 911s. A lot of you probably know this story that Porsche, needed to replace the, at that point, very old 356, and they wanted something with a 6-cylinder engine. That was going to be this car called the 901. So Peugeot, they saw the car and they said, hey, listen, Porsche, blank, zero, blank, that's kind of how we name cars. We'd appreciate it if you didn't call it 901. And there was never a lawsuit or anything like that. They just made the decision that they were going to call their new car the 911. However, the first 242 cars sold, I believe is the number, were actually badged as 901s. This car. So, rewind the clock back to October 22nd, 1964. They built 3 cars that day. This is the 3rd car built that day. So it's the last one built. That's also the day that Ferry Porsche, Ferdinand Porsche's son, decided, you know what? Let's not fight with the French. Peugeot gets their way. We're going to change the name from the 901 to the 911. Meaning, this thing I'm driving around Sonoma Raceway is the very last 901 ever built. How about them apples? It's just a multi-purpose sports car. Still have the front opens up, put stuff in there. So it's really like, in a lot of ways, the birth of the modern sports car way back in the 60s. So what if we were to hop into something, still a 911, but, well, it's the Porsche 959. So let's check that thing out. Oh, it's so good. Look, I've been doing this professionally for 15 years now. And that entire time, I've been waiting to drive a 959. I've been waiting most of my life, and I'm driving it. Almost a tear to my eye, maybe if I wasn't on camera. So, when this car came out, it was the fastest car in the world. It could go 197 miles an hour. So it's 444 horsepower, sequential turbo. So it has a little turbo that kind of runs the whole time. And then when you crest 5,000 RPMs, which, let's do that right now, the other turbo kicks in, and it doesn't kick. It's not like an old Saab where it's like, ba-boom. It's not this crazy lag thing. It's just like a more powerful force takes you over. And it's just awesome. And again, 450 horsepower. The new 992 has 450 horsepower. That's how long it's taken the 911 to catch up to the 959. And that's the base car still makes less than this thing did back in 1986. It's crazy. And it's a sweetheart to drive, right? The car was all-wheel drive too, which is new and very different for a supercar. No one was doing that. Oh, that power. When that turbo comes on. Right. Back to what makes this car so special. So they just rewrote all the rules with this thing. Money was no object. Look, when this car was new, the price back then was $225,000. Okay, so in today's money, that's $530,000, and Porsche still lost $500,000 on every one they sold. That's how advanced this car was. I mean, the body there's some aluminum, but there's also Kevlar, some other bulletproof material. The floor is Nomex. I mean, it's just a spaceship. This is the equivalent of if, I don't know, the NASA museum let me take the Saturn V out. That's how advanced this thing was at the time, you know? And now, after doing a couple laps here at Sonoma Raceway, it's just so good. Life is so good. Oh man. What a world. Give me that turbo. Oh, yeah. So that's the Porsche 959. Came a long way from the 901. That was like the best 10 minutes of my life.